My name's David Rickwood. I'm the site manager for the Woodland Trust on Dartmoor, and I've been working on Dartmoor with the Woodland Trust since 2009. Ancient woodlands are really under threat, and whilst it's important to expand woodland cover, create more connectivity in the landscape, some of the most important biodiversity reasons are actually within our existing woodland resource. And so we need to be much more conscious of our efforts to protect and preserve and maintain those sites. We're in a woodland called Fingle, and it's one of the largest woodland complexes on Dartmoor. Fingle Woods is an ancient woodland site. One of our principal objectives here is to restore the woodland to native woodland in the longer term. But at the same time, it's a really important commercial resource of timber in a landscape where commercial resources of timber are in decline. So we've got to responsibly use that timber for its best ends. For this project, we've selected 3 species. We've selected beech, and we've selected western hemlock, and we're in a stand of mostly western hemlock now, and also alder. And the reason we selected those is that both beech and western hemlock are quite heavily shading species. So in terms of restoration and ancient woodland restoration, they're key species that we want to manage in order to increase light levels in woodlands. But actually they're really abundant on Dartmoor. And then alder is increasingly being considered a possible replacement for ash as ash declines. All 3 species are much underutilised. They've got a wide range of end uses. And so there are good reasons to manage them in terms of the timber, but there's also good ecological reasons to manage them. The key ecological benefit is all about light levels. As the woodlands become more complex and you create more light opportunities, you get a vast array of species. So for example, in this woodland here, Fingle Woods, we've got in excess of 44 breeding bird species. And they've increased over the time the more we've managed the woodland. You get many more invertebrates in the woods, you get a wider range of plants, and there's much more structure in the woodland. The reason it's important to have what we would call a resilient forest and a more complex forest is because we are increasingly seeing issues around tree disease. Possibly one of the most startling facts in the state of woods and trees is actually how many woodlands are in decline. We're going to need to think much more expansively about the range of wood and timbers we use. So we wanted to choose some products that showed the versatility of the timber and how perhaps they could be applied to a range of just day-to-day products like doors, window frames, flooring, and standard joinery really, because these species don't tend to be used for that purpose, but they're perfectly adaptable. So another angle on the utilisation of these species is actually bringing some value to the landowner, to the woodland, and to the whole supply chain really. Because woodlands like this are only going to be managed if there is an economic future for the timber that's within them. Within the UK, we still import a huge amount of timber. So one of the products we've been working with is glulam. And one of the things that's unique about Devon is Devon has the only glulam manufacturing plant in the country. But without those, innovative thinkers and people investing in new technology like that, that wouldn't be available to us. But glulam, is a widely utilised product, particularly in mainland Europe, and it can be used in all sorts of structural purposes. And the species that are needed to make glulam are here in the landscape. So the wood supply chain is often fragmented in the UK, and one of the really interesting aspects of doing this piece of work is I think it's really shown people how actually by maybe taking a little bit of time out, standing back and reflecting and beginning to work with one another, you can create a community of interest.